Hey y'all! Beating Pokemon Red using only one Geodude was a real gem, and this week for our December holiday themed video, I want to commemorate the beginning of Hanukkah. This week I'm going to try to beat Pokemon Crystal using only Hitmontop. As usual, the rules are I can only use Hitmontop in battle, and I can't use any trainer items in battle. By the way, if you like this kind of content and want to see more, be sure to subscribe and check out more of these videos on my channel. Hitmontop is a fighting type Pokemon that likes to fight by spinning on its head like a top. You might even say it looks like a dreidel, so it's the perfect Pokemon to celebrate Hanukkah. Did you know that Hanukkah is also referred to as the Festival of Lights? And that's not to be confused with the Northern Lights, or as I like to call it, Menorah Borealis. Hitmontop also has some pretty sick breakdancing moves, so it's more of a Hitmon hip-hop. Hitmontop evolves from Tyrogue at level 20, when its attack and defense stats are the same. Perfectly balanced, just like a spinning dreidel. Hitmontop has been competitively relevant for many years as a support Pokemon, even winning the World Championships, and it's easy to imagine why. Hitmontop has decent attack and bulk, plus an array of incredible supporting moves in the later games. In Crystal, there are no double battles where it shines, and as for single battles, the move pool is, well, decent at best. But I'll explain more throughout the run. How will this challenge go? We'll see. Alright, let's do this. Off at Professor Elm's lab, I used the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Chikorita with Hitmontop so that our rival will pick the Fire-typed Cyndaquil. Honestly, I don't have a good reason for doing so. I just kinda wanted to see Typhlosion. The rival never really matters anyways after Ecruteak City, so who even cares? Hitmontop likes to hip-hop dance and spin on its head like a top, so I nickname ours Dr. Dreidel. And that's not to be confused with Snoop Dogg. One of them is bald, and the other one has dreidel locks. Hitmontop starts off with a single move, Rolling Kick. Normally, a Pokemon's starting move is meant to be purposefully bad and then get replaced later, but Rolling Kick is the best fighting move that Hitmontop will learn actually. It's 60 base power and has a 30% chance to flinch, with the downside being that it's 85% accurate. And 85% accuracy sounds fine, but if you've ever used Precipice Blades or Origin Pulse, you'll understand that 85% has me holding my breath every time I click it. This time though, we don't miss, and we win this battle super fast, at top speed. And with Bubs beaten, we try to take on Falkner and his flying type freaks at the Violet City Gym. I couldn't get past the first trainer's level 9 Spearow, so I defeated the trainers at Bellsprout Tower and came back at level 12. Now we're strong enough that Rolling Kick is smashing these birds pretty heckin' hard. And that's super neat. Again, when it hits. Even this battle where we landed 3 consecutive Rolling Kicks, I only had a 61% chance for that to occur. And I had to reset a lot of battles thanks to missing, but you know what they say. It's a long way to the top if you want a rock and Rolling Kick. Now in Azalea Town, I'm in a pickle. Bugsy is actually too strong for Hitmontop right now, so instead I take on the rival Bubs. He leads off with a Ghastly, which is immune to Rolling Kick, so thank goodness we just learned the dark move Pursuit. Normally it's a 40 base power move, but if the opponent switches out, it doubles in damage and hits them before they can switch out. But, I mean, that never comes into play here. Dark type is super effective against Ghastly, by the way, but dark moves are special in this game, and Hitmontop is a physical attacker, so that's not really that great. Even the Zubat takes multiple pursuits to knock out, and that's one of the worst Pokemon ever. And during many of these battles, Ghastly puts Hitmontop to sleep with Hypnosis, but after a couple tries I make it to the Quilava, only to miss multiple Rolling Kicks and lose to Ember. Well, not to worry, it ain't nothing but a G thing. Several tries later and I'm back at the Quilava, but this time we've got an ace up our sleeve. I have Hitmontop hold a berry to heal 10 HP and give our cross-eyed dreidel more opportunities to land Rolling Kick. And the berry made all the difference, so let me take this moment to say that this video almost didn't happen. I've actually been sick the last week and unable to do voiceover until yesterday, so I guess you could say I was in a bit of a G-funk. Now it's time to take on Bugsy at the Azalea Town Gym, and I mentioned before that he was pretty tough for Hitmontop, and I wasn't kidding. Bug-type resists fighting, and Scyther being a flying and bug-type, double resists fighting, meaning we hit his Pokemon with very little damage using Rolling Kick. The best move available to us is the TM for Swift I picked up in the nearby Union Cave, but it's hard to get to the Scyther with enough health to withstand an onslaught of increasingly powerful Fury Cutters, especially when Kakuna poisons us with Poison Sting. So nothing to do here but reset the battle until the damage ranges round in our favor. You know, like spinning around. Listen, these jokes could be worse. At least I'm not Carrot Top. Next up is the Goldenrod City Gym in the battle with Whitney's Miltank. And this was one of the most satisfying experiences I've ever had in a challenge run. Not only do we resist rollout, but Rolling Kick smashes through her normal type Pokemon. Miltank does manage to survive on a sliver, but Hitmontop's quick attack bypasses her higher speed to knock her out before she can heal with Milk Drink. Plus, we're only at level 19, and considering Miltank normally bodies us, I'm happy to see the cow go down. And after losing, Whitney won't give us the badge at first, and she makes us out to be the bad guy for winning. Talk about a real spin doctor. I reached the rival Bubs in the Burnt Tower in Ecruteak City, and this is normally a grueling battle, but I'm happy to report that I won it on the first try thanks to the move Dig. It's a 2-turn ground move, and while it's only 60 base power in this game, it's still super effective against most of Bubs' Pokemon. And you know, I always thought it was really silly of Bruno to have his Hitmontop no Dig, but now I actually find the idea pretty spin-interesting. Okay, I don't care who you are, that joke was top-notch. Next up is the Spectral Showdown with the Ecruteak City Gym Leader Morty and his gang of ghoulish ghosts. This battle is a simple matter of using Dig to dodge curses and knock out all of Morty's Pokemon. Simple, right? Well, you might notice that I'm 7 levels higher than when I beat Bubs in the Burnt Tower. A few of those levels are from trainers in the gym, but even so I needed a few more levels to make this work. Level 29 is the level where Dig, while being boosted by the Soft Sand item, is a 1-hit KO on everything but the Gengar. And any chance that Morty's first Pokemon have to attack is one too many chances to let him use Curse, which is an automatic loss. But that's what Morty gets for trying to take Hitmontop out of rotation. Now with the ability to surf, I set sail from Olivine City and head to the Cedarwood City Gym to take on the Fighting-type gym leader Chuck. Surprisingly, I actually struggled with this battle a little bit and had to reset multiple times. Rolling Kick does decent damage, but its 85% accuracy loves to let me down at the worst times imaginable. It's also totally fair that Poliwrath is hitting 50% accurate dynamic punches like it's no big deal. Oh, did I say fair? I meant a literal bag of crap. I mean, eventually we win, but oh goy, was it annoying. Next up is the Steel-type gym leader Jasmine. I could take on Price first, but it's nice to be able to beat her earlier than not for once. Rolling Kick is super effective against Steel types, so should be easy. And Dig is double super effective against the Magnemites, so I'll use that instead for the accuracy. Good thing too, because when Steelix comes out, we miss a Rolling Kick and get bailed out from losing by getting a flinch. And I will say, I get why they made Rolling Kick inaccurate to balance out the flinch chance, but Rock Slide is stronger and 90% accurate, so I just don't get why Rolling Kick has to be 85% accurate. Then again, Game Freak does make some pretty wonky decisions, although maybe I'm being harsh. I mean, it's not the best, but it could be a lot worse. I had to take on Price, the Ice-type gym leader in Mahogany Town, and his entire team of Ice-type Pokemon are weak to fighting. So yet again, the keys to success are jangling with the sound of an 85% accurate move. Rolling Kick crushes Price's Pokemon, except for the Piloswine, which manages to hang on with just a sliver, but this little piglet missed a blizzard and cried wee 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 all the way home. Hitmontop spins so hard on Price's team that he almost pirouettes his pants. We can't help it at his age. With 7 gym badges in hand, we now have to take on the rival Bubs in the basement underground during the Team Rocket Radio Tower anime arc. A lot of times this battle is a total cakewalk, but apparently not today. Hitmontop is confused and hits itself in the face, but I guess it's hard to focus after all when your head's spinning. In summation, Confuse Ray is a fun move, and critical hits are a good mechanic. Nah! I keep losing to the Golbat until I gave Hitmontop the King's Rock hold item. It gives your moves a 10% chance to flinch, which works against the Golbat before we can get confused. And after that, Hitmontop is able to hit the rest of Bubs' team for super effective damage. And I can already hear the chuds in the comments saying, "Duh, King's Rock is cheap." Yeah, well that's just a matzah of opinion. Now it's time for the final Johto Gym leader, Claire the Dragon-type trainer. And she's really frustrating, and her usual Thunderwave spam shenanigans put a damper on my spirits. Thankfully, my superior knowledge brain does help me win good. Her Dragonairs are programmed to use Thunderwave on the first turn, so I used Detect to dodge being paralyzed. Then I can attack her like I normally would without fear of Thunderwave. Dragon Breath can still paralyze us, but that doesn't happen here. What does happen is that Claire uses a Hyper Potion on her Kingdra, and Hitmontop just barely hangs on from several surfs to clutch out a victory. And that's the cherry on top. Before the Elite Four, we traverse Victory Road to take on our rival Bubs one last time. His team is not much to shake a stick at, and Hitmontop does pretty well against his team, although not for lack of effort on Bubs' part. His Golbat is still out here spamming Confuse Ray, and his Typhlosion is lowering our accuracy with Smokescreen. At least we have Swift to bypass the accuracy check, but my god, why does Bubs have to be such a jerk? You know, somebody once told me that Bubs would try to roll me, and I guess I should have listened, but I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. With Bubs out of the way, here are the stats and moves at the Elite Four. Hitmontop is level 50 and the moveset hasn't changed much. Besides the special attack, which we don't need, the stats are all pretty balanced. Dare I say, well-rounded? Up first is the Psychic type Elite Four member Will. We may have entered the Elite Four at a lower level, but we sure as Spumoni ain't gonna leave at a low level. In fact, Will's Psychic type attacks smash Hitmontop so hard that even on our luckiest attempt, I couldn't make it past the Exeggutor, so I have to do a significant amount of grinding before we even stand a chance. What's a better way to say all this? Oh, I got it. Will spins me right round, baby, right round, and we lose in like a record time, baby. I grind for more levels until we reach level 55, at which point Return is more likely than not to 1-KO the Xatu. In fact, it turns out that with the Pink Bow hold item boosting the power of normal moves, Return is at most a 2-KO on all of Will's Pokemon now. This just so happens to be one of the magical rounding levels I'm always talking about, where if your level ends in a 0, 3, 5, or 8, you get extra damage tacked on due to the way the damage formula rounds. And how appropriate for Hitmontop to benefit from rounding. Next up is Koga, the Poison and Bug type Elite Four member. This battle can be pretty frustrating since his Pokemon love to spam evasion boosting moves and cause us to whiff our own. On this here go round, Hitmontop actually does pretty well. Despite several of Koga's Pokemon raising their evasion, Hitmontop didn't miss a single move. I did have to do some finagling with the Forretress though. Using Rolling Kick twice in a row will knock it into red health, which will cause Forretress to use Explosion and knock us out. So I follow up the first Rolling Kick with a not very effective Return to keep it in orange health and prevent the explosion. We didn't get blown up on this time, but I've had my fair share of go-arounds with the stupid Forretress to know better than to let that thing make boom. And I can't believe Koga would try to blow up my Hanukkah plans like that. Or as I like to call it, a Mazel Tov cocktail. Next up is the Fighting type Elite Four member Bruno. Before the battle, I Hitmontop off our health and then head right into the battle to fight another Hitmontop. Time to finally settle the score and find out once and for all who's going to come out on bottom and who's going to be the Hitmontop. His top survives Return and goes for Dig, and I use Dig to dodge their Dig, but they use Detect to dodge our Dig. Oh my god, okay, that's fine I guess. Return cleans things up, and we continue to blast through Bruno's Pokemon until the Machamp comes out and smashes us with a critical hit Cross Chop. And with barely any health left, we miss a Rolling Kick on the Onix, and it finishes us off with Earthquake. Hard to believe we lost to the friggin' Onix, but okay, here we go again. This time, Machamp goes down, leaving us with a respectable amount of health. And here we go! Rolling Kick does the work and gets the job done. And with that, like a pair of headphones, Bruno gets beat by Dreidel. Next up is the Dark type Elite Four member Karen. Dark is weak to fighting, although, funny enough, only 2 Pokemon on our team are actually weak to Dark. What I'm trying to say is that looks can be deceiving. Rolling Kick can 1-KO the Umbreon, which is a nice change of pace, but her Vileplume almost always gets to paralyze us with Stun Spore. And our paralysis luck is usually so bad that we take too much damage before we even get to the Houndoom to survive its flamethrower. And sometimes we do, but we get fully paralyzed anyways. Oh boy, hot ham and Bob's your uncle. A couple of tries later, we make it to the Houndoom without having taken any damage or paralysis, so we win the battle easy peasy. Houndoom thought that it was the champ, but it turns out that we were the top dog all along. Now it's time for the champion battle with the last member, Lance the Dragon Master. I knew going into this battle that we only had a small chance of winning. His Dragonites in particular spamming Thunder Wave is super problematic. Still, Hitmontop has exceeded my expectations for this run, so I'm not even upset. Gyarados always sets up the rain, so we get to take it out without taking any damage, and Aerodactyl often flinches to Rolling Kick, so usually the first damage we take is from Charizard's Wing Attack. Still, once the Dragonite paralyzes us, it's pretty much over. Even with the Quick Claw hold item to sometimes let us bypass the Paralysis Speed Drop, this one's too tough. Ugh. Yama, come on! Okay, so I'm back at level 65 and a few things have changed. Firstly, all the Dragonites are at most a 2-hit KO with Return without holding the Pink Bow to boost normal moves. And that's important because once again, I have Hitmontop holding the King's Rock. It only has an 11.7% chance to cause a flinch each turn, but still I figure that it's useful since that means there's roughly a 53% chance that we'll flinch one of Lance's Pokemon on the turn that they'd be able to attack us. And if I can get even one of those winged bastards to flinch, I'll consider it worth it. This strategy might seem cheap, but I promise it's completely kosher. Rolling Kick has a built-in flinch chance too, so that usually takes care of Aerodactyl for us, and luckily enough, the first two Dragonite missed their Thunder Waves, and I couldn't ask for better conditions, and all signs point to victory. Well, the gravy train keeps on rolling when Hitmontop lands that King's Rock flinch against the last Dragonite, and we follow up to knock it out with Return for the victory. And again, I know some of you don't like King's Rock, but believe me, I don't feel guilty in the slightest. And with Lance defeated, we have finally conquered the Pokemon League, but you know the run isn't over yet. I'm always going to consider beating the final Trainer Red as the final boss of the run, unless of course a Pokemon is just impossibly bad, which Hitmontop is not. I set sail upon the SS Aqua to head over to Kanto to take on their 8 gym leaders to acquire all 16 badges and earn the right to challenge Red atop Mount Silver. The first 7 gym leaders were not worth talking about, so now it's time to take on the final Kanto gym leader, Blue. And this battle was, honestly, a lot easier than I expected. Even for a good Pokemon, normally Blue gives us a lot of trouble in these runs, but Hitmontop swept through his team with relative ease. His biggest threat, the Alakazam, got outsped and taken down in a single return. And good thing Blue's Exeggutor doesn't have Psychic, otherwise this could have been way worser, but it just goes for Leech Seed. Arcanine lands a higher priority Extreme Speed, which does decent damage, but then Rhydon comes out and goes for Sandstorm to deal a single turn of chip damage. In fact, we took about half of our health during this battle, but most of it was to indirect damage only. Wow, that's pretty nutty. Hitmontop spins faster than a billiard ball to defeat Blue, but there's one more trainer left, so not quite time to cue the victory music. With all 16 badges in hand, it's time to take on the final Trainer Red atop Mount Silver. I was really confident going into this one, but my hopes were quickly extinguished like a candle without enough oil. We couldn't even one-shot the Pikachu with Return, and somehow that's a benchmark in my mind. When I saw this, I got a little bit worried, and then realized that Red has a whole heckin' Espeon for us to deal with afterwards. And I thought maybe I could flinch it with Rolling Kick until it was in return range, but it outspeeds us and Dr. Dre gets hit so hard with Psychic that he's going to need medical attention. Or as I like to call it, a hip-hop-operation. Even with a critical hit to knock out Espeon through Reflect, Charizard finishes up the job, and to top it off, this is the farthest I was able to get at this level. A few levels later and I'm back at level 78. I've also replaced Dig with Curse and Detect with Protect. The latter two do the exact same thing, but Protect has more beepy. Pikachu goes down no problem, and the Espeon goes down, but does get to set up Reflect. I use Protect to stall for turns against the Charizard so that Reflect will fade and our attacks will no longer be doing half the normal damage. This also lets us heal back with Leftovers as a hold item. The Snorlax is where things get a little tricky. I want to use the Snorlax to set up as many curses as I can, but I need to not be paralyzed by Snorlax's Body Slam. And after a single curse, Rolling Kick leaves Snorlax on just a sliver, and then I time things out perfectly to use a curse on the turn that Snorlax goes for rest. And while it's sleeping, I get another curse before knocking out the chubby Chungus. Hitmontop invokes the power of curses, which lets us hit hard, but at what cost? Next week is Christmas after all, so there's plenty of time for our spinning top to repent, or as I like to call it, healing the sins of the world. Venusaur sets up Sunny Day just to get knocked out by a return, and Blastoise wastes a turn going for Rain Dance to overwrite the Sunny Day that he just set up. Blastoise somehow manages to survive a +3 attack boosted return, but its Surf is not enough to knock us out, and we win the battle! And with that, the challenge is over! For a Pokemon designed around being balanced, Hitmontop exceeded my expectations. There were only a few spots where it had any trouble at all, and it's one of the fastest runs completed to date. So, how does Hitmontop compare to all the other challenge runs we've done in Crystal? Gyrate it highly! As always, I want to thank you for making it to the end of this video. These videos are a lot of fun, but also a lot of work, so I really do appreciate it. There's a playlist on my channel where you can find the rest of my Pokemon challenge videos if you want to check those out as well. And if you like this kind of content and want to see more, be sure to subscribe and enable notifications so you'll know right away the next time one of these episodes is uploaded. And if you want early access to these videos and to have your name listed in the credits, consider becoming a member or joining on Patreon. And if you have a Pokemon you want to see, let me know in the comments and I'll probably do it. After all, whether it's Hanukkah bread or hip-hop, either way, you can always holla at ya boy. Next week is Christmas, and I'm super excited to see what Santa has in store for us by trying to beat Pokemon Crystal using only one Delibird. This was a fun run, so until the next episode,